Hello, Zen Diva. This is the relaunch I thought I already did. Okay, I'm going to ask you to just sit with me for a second. We're not going to play intro music, no big welcome to the Zen Diva podcast where blah, blah, blah. Not today. And if I'm being really honest, I even wanted to do this in video format rather than audio only, and I woke up today with a full-blown allergic reaction to something. My eyes are puffy, my skin is itchy, but I want to show up. And today I want to tell you a story, a real one. I want to tell you the story that I tried to tell last fall and I couldn't quite get there, not because I didn't want to, but because I hadn't finished living it yet. Although I didn't know that at the time. But I'm done now, or at least done enough. So hi, I'm Cindy. I'm a registered massage therapist, a naturopath, a somatic healer, a psychic medium, an accidental real estate investor. I was a single mom for many years, and I am very much a recovering perfectionist. And apparently, I'm a woman who builds things, burns them down, and then rises from the ashes and rebuilds again, but better. Whether I plan to do this or not, it still kind of happens that way. So welcome back to the Zen Diva podcast. Let's call this part 1, the relaunch I thought I already did. So last September or September-ish, I relaunched the Zen Diva. I was super excited. I launched it with a group, we did some channeling, we had the cauldron of questions, and it was nice, but it felt like something was missing because I had a lot going on in the back of my mind. Now, I had a talk lined up for this incredible event called Known. I had a PowerPoint, I had a plan. And those of you who were there, maybe you thought it went great. I, however, did not think it went great. Here's what I finally accepted about myself. I'm not a speaker. Well, not in the traditional sense. So I don't memorize a script and deliver it. What I do is I channel. I read the energy of the room, I feel into what's needed in the moment, and I deliver that. I'm a medium, not just for spirit, but for groups and for people. It's very organic. So put a PowerPoint in front of me and my nervous system is like, okay, be a speaker now. And my mouth says, absolutely not. We're going to go on this little off-road journey. And it sometimes ends up really messy. So the talk happened and the content was real. I spoke about the illusion of closure. I talked about completion versus ending. I also talked about why your nervous system can't just let them. Anyways, I meant every word that I said, but something in me felt like I was performing a version of myself instead of actually just being myself. I wasn't giving myself permission to fully shine. I walked off that stage and I thought, well, okay, 6 out of 10. And personally, I don't do 6 out of 10. I'm telling you this because I think it's important. Because I could have come back to the podcast after that event, after that launch, and I could have been like, wow, such an incredible launch. The Zen Diva is back, baby. Like, I could have easily made that super Instagrammable. And some people, most people, would have believed me. And I could have even sold the vibe. But that's not what we do here. That's not the Zen Diva. The Zen Diva is the intersection between spirit and science, which means we tell the truth and then we figure out why and then we dig deeper. So the plot twist and then another one. Here's what happened after the relaunch. So you know that feeling you get when you've healed something? You know, like you're like, I've healed this thing. It's not coming back. And then the universe is like, cute story. Hold my latte and watch this. Well, some of you know my story of Kini Wellness, and Mana Health and Wellness was like part 2 of that. It was a beautiful healing sanctuary. It was a space that I really poured everything into. After having had to close down Kini Wellness, like Mana was almost like my second chance. It was a 5-star luxury spa and wellness sanctuary. We won a lot of awards. Like, we weren't even open a full year and we were winning like People's Choice. We were winning a Canadian-wide award. I had literally rebuilt a dream team. It was so much fun. And at my talk, I mentioned that, how this felt like such a healing completion process because the last time when I closed, I didn't get to close on my own terms. It just felt dirty. It didn't feel good. And what I want you to know is, unfortunately, Mana Health and Wellness never really sold. I did everything right this time. I got the lawyers involved. I dotted every I crossed every T, and I did the thing the proper way because I had learned my lessons the first time. So this time I was going to do it differently, and I was going to make sure that I gave myself this completion process. And unfortunately, in the end, I still ended up with $0 and having to start all over. I want to sit in that for a second because I think we rush past this part. We tend to rush past the lessons. We rush to the silver lining. We rush to the, and here's what I've learned, or we rush to the everything happens for a reason. Like, I got $0 after doing everything right. I'm allowed to make that be devastating. I'm giving myself permission to say that. And I'm giving you permission to say that for yourself if you're currently in a stormy season or if you're currently in a situation that really sucks. You're allowed to not rush past that. The lesson and the silver lining will come, and it has come for me as well. But there's no rushing that process. And even when I think of Kini Wellness now, like after all of that happened, the building caught on fire. Literal fire. It's like the universe, I've decided, has a really dramatic sense of humor. Anyways, here's where it gets even deeper, because all of this time, I thought my wound, or my big wound to heal on earth, is a sisterhood wound. I thought I had been hurt by so many women in my life that that's the wound I had to heal. But Mana, dissolving the way it did, even after the lawyers, even after doing everything right, even after really seeing myself in this other person and having compassion and patience and crystal clear communication and really healthy boundaries, it cracked something open in me that I hadn't expected at all. You see, my wound wasn't about sisterhood at all. Well, I mean, maybe a little bit. But my wound was about trusting my own intuition. Why would my own intuition keep leading me here? Like, why is my intuition bringing me to these situations that end up in a way that I don't want them to? Like, why is my intuition telling me go left when left is on fire and right would have been a beautiful, scenic route? Like, I could have smelled the flowers. Maybe there's some squirrels there. I don't know. So it looked to me like, or it felt to me like my intuition was leading me to outcomes that from the outside looking in looked like failures. I kept getting clear signs to do certain things only to have them not work out. And then, okay, people think I am ridiculously unstable or all over the place. Why? Like, why is this happening? And I got angry. I got sad. I got sad mad. Ever been sad mad? It's like you're so mad and so sad that you're like not sure if you want to punch a wall or cry. Anyways, I had to sit with that for a long time. But this time, for the first time maybe ever, like truly, I didn't make it mean something about me personally. And that was a game changer. So let's go into a bit of a story time here just to give some more context to the depth of what I'm sharing with you today. It was a warm day back on July 14th, 1981. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to go that far back. However, we are going to go to a very important part of my childhood. My father was a politician, and for most of my childhood, that was his job, and my job was to be the perfect daughter. I learned to smile for Christmas cards and campaign posters before I even learned to name my feelings. I learned how to perform flawlessly in every room we walked into because everything reflected on him and everything reflected on the family. And although I can't speak about their experience directly, I guarantee you my mom felt 100 times the pressure I did, and my brothers felt it too, because I saw that in them as well. Each one of us was bullied in our own unique way, and we never fought back because we were taught to not make a fuss. But do you know what happens to a rebel teenager who's taught to not make a fuss and not make a scene? The biggest scene of my life. That's what happened, except nobody even knew it happened. When I was 15 years old, something traumatic happened to me, and it became, we can call it my family's biggest secret. It's something that required medical attention, but across the border so that there's no paper trail, and something that couldn't go to our family doctor, couldn't go to a therapist, because what if they breach confidentiality? And what if this secret gets out? There can't be a scandal, because what will happen during the next political campaign? So I carried it. I carried it alone at 15, and I carry it today. I remember sharing my pain with one friend that I truly trusted, someone that my family considered a daughter of their own, and she betrayed me because rumors started swirling around in school, and it could have only come from her. And that was the start of where I thought was a big sisterhood wound. But deeper than that is that my father was my best friend and my worst enemy all rolled into one. And I've done a lifetime of healing around that, to be honest. I've risen from it, I've processed, I've integrated, I've transmuted, all the fancy words we use in this world. But genuinely, I mean it, I have healed. But healing isn't linear, and if you're here, you already know that. When my father died, he left me money because he said he knew I would bet on myself. He said he believed in me, that I would take that money and I'd be able to triple it and make him proud. And I had spent my whole entire life trying to make that man proud. So suddenly I had an inheritance and a big mission. But what I had even more was the weight of his belief in me, and also the weight of everything that he had not protected me from. So I did what I do. I dreamed the biggest, wildest dream. And I built Kini Wellness. I built the healing sanctuary from scratch. 2,000 square feet that I poured my heart and soul into, and my entire inheritance, might I add. But it was beautiful. But then I lost it. I lost all of it. And instead of embodying that sometimes people do terrible things, sometimes people say, it's not personal, it's just business, while they're screwing you over, and they're just a shitty person. Instead of doing that, I made it mean something horrible about me. And the story I told myself for many years to come was, well, you messed up again. You always mess up. You're all over the place. You're too much, and you're not enough all at the same time. But you can't be trusted with good things. You let him down, and you let a lot of other people down in the process. So stay with me here, because we're bouncing back to the sisterhood wound, because that's the one I thought I had to heal. And because of that, I joined a community that I had once been a part of, but had kind of made it wrong, made it mean something about me, about the women. Anyways, that's a story for another day. But while I was in that group, doing the exercises that the coach had suggested, I had a moment of clarity. Like, it cracked me open in the best way. And what came through was, holy crap, I need to forgive myself. Not for failing, not for losing things, but for deciding that losing things was a reflection of my worth. For deciding that a messy outcome meant that I was a messy person. For deciding that the world's unfairness was somehow all my fault. The world is sometimes messy and unfair, and it just is. How I respond to that is where my actual power lives. And my intuition isn't leading me wrong. My intuition is leading me to expansion. Sometimes that's a great outcome, and other times it's not the desired outcome, but the lesson that I integrate becomes a part of my power, becomes a part of what makes me an amazing practitioner. Listen, ask me about client confidentiality. Let me tell you, I hold that near and dear, and now you know why. I have built things from nothing 4 times now. 4 times I have had something extraordinary, and 4 times the world has said, plot twist. But every single time, I'm still here. I'm still dreaming, I'm still creating, and I'm still desiring. People may say I am all over the place. And you know what? I'm finally okay with that. Because at least I'm never stuck somewhere I don't want to be. And at least I have the curiosity and the audacity to play out my dreams rather than have them just play in my head and in my imagination all the time. I'm done letting my wounds convince me that my curiosity is recklessness, that my vision is a delusion, or that my sensitivity is instability. My intuition was never broken. The world is sometimes just messy. So if you find yourself doubting your own intuition and beating yourself up for following it, but it didn't really quite end up the way you hoped, you're not broken. Your intuition is not broken. The world is sometimes a messy place to be. So yes, sometimes it's really challenging to make out the difference between intuition and inner critic and science and spirit and all of that. And that's the intersection I've always lived on. So I want to talk about something that even has me genuinely confused on a regular basis. Because I'm very science oriented. Like, I trust evidence, I really respect research. I love reading research papers. I went to school to study the human body, the nervous system, and I like to know what is measurable, what is repeatable, what is real. And then I'm also a psychic medium. I channel, I read energy, I speak to those who have died. I know, I'm a walking paradox and contradiction all rolled into one. And I used to try to find an explanation for that or to try to make that make sense. I'm just done doing that. Because my tagline is literally dancing on the intersection of spirit and science. Because I believe in science and I believe in spirit because there are signs from spirit, and I'm sure you've experienced some. I'm like, although this is not evidence-based, like, come on, la. So I just think science maybe hasn't caught up to spirit just yet, and maybe it never will. But I've been dancing on that intersection for more than 20 years now, and sadly, somewhere along the way, I started whispering the mediumship part. I'd always lead conversations with RMT, naturopath, somatic healer. Like, I'd lead conversations with my credentials because a part of me, I guess, thought that the credential would equal respect or stability. And it was just weird. I'd mention the mediumship thing maybe a little bit later if they mentioned that they had a reading or that they believed in synchronicity. But I would lead with my credentials because a part of me subconsciously had believed that if I stepped into that power of psychic medium fully, then people would look at my timeline and be like, so why do you keep messing up then? Like, if you're so psychic, if you're so good, why is your life a crap show? Which, I mean, not wrong. But looking back now, I'm like, yes, wrong. My life is beautiful. It's colorful. I have lived. And my lived experience not only makes me a better person, but it makes me a better practitioner. So I am a registered massage therapist, a naturopath, a somatic practitioner, and a psychic medium. Equally, without apology. Because here's what I know from 2 decades now. Wow, that makes me sound like a freaking dinosaur. But anyways, the body and the soul are not separate. Your nervous system holds memory. Your fascia holds grief. And your breath tells a story. It holds a story that your mind tries to bypass. And listen, I know people that claim to be the most enlightened spiritual beings on the planet. They are spiritual bypassing every day. So, the work that I do in a treatment room and the work that I do as a medium are accessing the same truth, just different directions. Making healing and spirituality both simple and fun, that's not just a cute business tagline, that's actually my life's mission. And I had gone to a retreat, probably 20 years ago now, if not more. And it was all around finding your mission and your purpose. And that was what I came out of there with, making healing and spirituality both simple and fun. And that's what I've been doing ever since then. Maybe sometimes it's messy, but it's beautiful all at the same time. And the Zen Diva is a brand that I created after losing it all. It's a brand that has always meant so much to me. And it's the brand that holds all of it. It's the Zen, which is spirit, which is energetics, which is all the things that maybe can't be explained. And the Diva, which is our 3D reality, our humanness, our ego, our shadow, all the things maybe that we're less proud of, because you say the word diva and a lot of people have resistance to that word. So the Zen Diva is that beautiful intersection between those two worlds. So it's spring, and the Zen Diva is back and better than ever. Not back like last September where I showed up to an event and I was like, woohoo! Oh no, 6 out of 10. Let's just hide and pretend that that never happened. No. It is back. Like, I have stopped waiting for the perfect moment to launch things. Like today, my face, she burns, but I am here. And P.S., like, when did podcasts have to become videos? Like, podcasts were created to be audio only in the first place. So, anyways, I'm also back. Like, I'm done with the completion process because, yeah, there's some completion. However, we're going to evolve for the rest of our lives. So this story is not once upon a time in the end. It's to be continued. And I finally know the difference between intuition leading me wrong and life just being hard sometimes. And they're called growing pains for a reason, because sometimes it's going to be painful. And how we handle that or how we integrate that, that is our power. And we are powerful beings. So I am super excited. I have an online community called the Zen Diva Odyssey, and it is everything I believe about healing your body, mind, emotion, and spirit as a whole. I call this process the Mana 4-Body Blueprint. Because let's face it, Mana was a pretty epic brand. It stood for slowing down, living life on island time, however, not bypassing any of our bodies. So it's coming back. It's joining the Zen Diva in its own little unique way. I also still have my in-person practice that has quietly thrived now for more than 20 years, and most of my marketing for that is word of mouth. I have physicians, psychologists, friends, nurses, people refer their loved ones to me, and I think that's kind of cool, and it's the best compliment ever, to be honest. The people who find me online for my one-on-one mentorship are usually people, they have built the thing, or they have reached this certain level of status or wealth, and then they're like, meh, I feel nothing. Like, what gives? I have stories. Oh Lord, do I have stories. And I've finally decided to stop being afraid of sharing my story. I know my stories are probably triggering for some people. I know my stories activate emotions within people. But here's what I've learned. And I really mean this, like, from the bottom of my heart with everything I have. The stories that we're the most afraid to tell are usually the ones that matter most. Because they're the ones that make someone feel less alone at 2 a.m. Those are the stories that give someone a language for something that they've been secretly carrying for so long. They're the ones that make a person listening in their car go, oh my goodness, it's not just me, I'm not alone. And although at the beginning of this I said I'm not a speaker, I'm not, because I'm a storyteller. I have always been a storyteller. And I was raised in rooms full of people who understood the power of narrative. And I have finally learned that it's time for me to use mine. So here's what the Zen Diva podcast and my content is going to be moving forward. It's going to be honest. It's going to be warm. It's going to make healing feel less like a discipline and more like a conversation you've been needing to have. It's still going to have science in it, but it's also going to have a whole lot of spirit. And you know what? Every now and then it's going to have me forgetting where I was going mid-sentence and going on a little side quest, because I'll probably find something that was more important over there instead. And I'm going to let that be okay. It's going to have stories that are hard to tell sometimes, but that will be told anyways. And let's face it, it's going to be fun, because if it's not fun, what's the point and what are we even doing here? So if you've been here before, from my early Zen Diva days to the Mana community to Kini Wellness, no matter what chapter you come from, or even if you just got here, welcome and welcome back. So many of my stories won't have the end. It'll probably be to be continued. So today I want to leave you with something that shifted everything for me. It's the thing that I finally understood after many cycles of building, losing, and rebuilding. I am not all over the place. I am fully alive. I am living life to its fullest, which is something we say on every quote that we share. And there's a big difference. It took me a really long time to know that and to own that. So if you're someone who's been called too much, too sensitive, too intense, too ambitious, too spiritual, too anything, this podcast is for you. And if you have ever looked at like the leftover or the rubble of something that you've built and you thought, what is wrong with me? I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you. The world is sometimes messy. And if you're still here, if you're still dreaming, if you're still desiring, that's not failure and that's not chaos. That is power. So I am hoping that you take on that power and you keep on thriving and you just keep trying something new just for the pure curiosity of saying, wonder what happens if I do this. So I'll see you in the next episode and the one after that and the one after that, because the Zen Diva is back and I'm welcoming you home. And if you're feeling alone or that you need a community, a safe place to land with like-minded people, reach out and send me a message and I would love for you to join the Zen Diva Odyssey with us.